Hi, everyone. Just to introduce myself quickly, I'm Sarah Spangenberg here on the product marketing team at Front, and introducing our CEO, Mathilde, who will be leading this session today. She and I will be kind of tag teaming on some of the questions and giving both of our thoughts, but she'll certainly be taking us through the majority of it. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Mathilde.
Thanks everyone for being here. I'm excited. It's the first time I'm doing a webinar for Front, and so I'm thrilled to share both why I started this company and then what's the roadmap for 2019. I'll try to make it as efficient as possible. I think, even if the invite is for 1 hour, I think it will be about 30 minutes. So let's get started. There will be 3 parts to this webinar. Why Front? So just sharing why we're working so hard on making Front a better software every day. 2, what are we going to work on this year? And 3, a lot of you send questions. And so we selected a few questions and we're open to hearing any other question. And one of our values at Front is transparency. And so throughout this presentation, we'll be as transparent as possible about what the future holds for us and for you. So let's start with why Front. So I don't know if you know anything about my story, but the thing I care the most about is I want people to be happy at work. And I think it starts by having the right tools. And in my previous job experience, I thought that a lot of things were inefficient with communication and with software. So the 2 things that really bothered me were the fact that information was siloed. So you always end up in your inbox, and your inbox doesn't communicate well with other people's inbox. But also you have so many different softwares, and so you jump from one tool to the other. And I think that for people to have meaning in their work and impact, they need to have the best tools, so design exactly for their workflows and for the way they work. And in today's world, the reality is people work as a team and they work with multiple softwares. So that's what I care about, is I want people to be happier at work. And so the way I want to do that, and that's really the idea of Front, is I think people are happy when there is transparency and when there is collaboration. And so these are values that we have at Front, but these are also things that we try to instill in our product. So we started with email because email is the main tool that people use today to get work done. The number of emails that are received and sent every year is increasing year over year. But email has not changed for the past 15 years. I mean, you can see on the screen what Gmail looked like 15 years ago and what it looks like today. It's basically the same. And yet it's a tool that people will spend hours every day using. So we wanted to start with email. And specifically, we wanted to start with shared inboxes. So every company has a shared inbox, like contact at, sales at, and they were not designed for a team to handle them. So what it leads to is duplicate work, 2 people reply to the same message once. I don't need to go deeply into this, and I'm sure you all know about all the issues with shared inboxes. So that's how we got started, and we got started 5 years ago. And we launched the product, we had a ton of traction, we had thousands of companies using the product, but what I was most interested in was seeing the impact on their work. And so what we saw is Front was saving them on average 6 hours every week. So that makes me very happy because you can use these 6 hours the way you want, but at least you can focus on what matters most. And as we rolled out the software to more and more companies, we identified more problems than just email and then just shared inboxes. So there are 3 main pain points that we identified. The first one was, shared inboxes are broken, but the truth is email in general, even individual email addresses like mathilde@frontapp.com is broken. And so whenever you want to collaborate, you'll use CCing, BCCing, forward reply all, and that might not be the most efficient way to do this. So with Front, we introduced individual inboxes so that you could manage all your emails into one place. Then we added many other channels like Facebook, Twitter, live chat, phone, custom channels, etc. And I'll talk about it, but we'll keep adding more channels so that you can really have everything in one place. And talking about everything in one place, we made Front work as a platform so that you can integrate Front with whatever tool you're using. So, for example, project management, you're using Trello, you're using Jira, then you're using GitHub. You can easily integrate these two tools together so that you don't go back and forth. And that's really the idea of Front, is we need one place to get work done. And as I said, our mission is work happier, and that's really what I want for us at Front, and that's what I want for all of you, is having the right tools so that you're ultimately happier at work. So we have a team of over 110 people, and it's growing every single day. We have these amazing customers, including all of you. And I just wanted to take, this moment to thank all of you for being with us. And it's a journey that I love being on, and I love being on it because of the team we have and because of the customers we have. So let's jump into our roadmap for 2019, since you're all here for that reason. So for those who've been using Front, this is a 1-minute reminder of what happened last year. So last year, we decided to rebuild Front from the ground up. And there are 2 reasons for that. The first one is, and that's a very transparent statement, when we started Front, we didn't even know where it would lead us, but we got so many users and so many customers using the product that the initial product we had built wasn't built in a way to support that scale. And so the main reason we rebuilt Front from scratch was to lay the right foundations so that we could grow from thousands of users to hundreds of thousands of users to millions of users without having a service that would slow down or be less scalable. The second reason was we took that as an opportunity to make it more intuitive and faster and hopefully more delightful. And there are still a lot of things that we need to improve, but we tried with this redesign to make sure that anyone in your company could be slightly happier using the product every day. So that was 2018, and that was about stronger foundations. So now 2019, we can go back to shipping a lot of new features and improvements and delivering the best inbox experience for all of you. So what does it mean? There will be 5 topics that I'll talk about today. One is, how can you make sure that the collaboration between you and everyone in your company is better? The second one is, how can we make sure that you're more productive so you can achieve more in the same amount of time or even less time? How can we make sure that you can set up your account in the easiest possible way so that Front works for 2 users and then 2,000 users and more? How can we break silos and make sure that you don't jump from one app to the other multiple times a day? And how can we make sure that we delight our users, so all of you? So expand collaboration. The first thing that we just launched that I'm super excited about is internal discussions. So, we have these comments that have been used so much by our customers. And a lot of you asked us if you could have a way to have an internal discussion that wouldn't be an email. Because, email still requires a subject and then a signature. And we wanted a more lightweight way for you to have internal discussions right into Front. So if you click on the button the blue button on the top left, you have a new drop down and you can start having these discussions. You can find them on the left. We've seen a lot of traction, so meaning a lot of people have been using this feature. If you have any question about the use case behind this feature, you should just send us an email. I'm happy to tell you how we've seen our customers use this feature. The second thing that we'll launch actually this week, if everything goes well, that I'm also really excited about because I've been waiting for years to have this feature, is the fact that you can loop external guests into conversations. So let me give you an example. At Front, I work with an external recruiter, I will work with a sales advisor, and I want them to be able to interact with me on front, even if they don't have front. So for example, I'm writing a draft and I want someone else to review my draft, potentially edit it, or I want to have an internal conversation with comments around an email that was sent to me, and I want someone to have this conversation with me without forwarding the email. Today, that's not possible. You need to invite this person on your account, and for someone like another team or an external recruiter or someone not in your organization, it doesn't really make sense. And so now it's possible. You can easily, in your comment box, mention someone outside your organization. You can assign an email to someone outside your organization, and you can share an email with someone outside your organization. We'll send an email as soon as it's live, and it's going to be in the coming days. So if you're looped in and you're not a front user yet, that's what it would look like. So you would receive an email, you would be invited to the conversation, click on the link, and then on the right of the screen, you can see what the person could look like, could see. And so it really looks like a front conversation, except that they don't have an account. And from there, they can edit the draft, they can reply to your comments. If more emails are sent in the thread, they can just keep track of it. So to enable more collaboration, I don't know how many of you know about this feature that we launched last year called Teams. So you can create multiple teams in front so that if you have multiple teams within your company using the product, you can have different templates of answers, different rules, different integrations. And one of the things that was asked by a lot of people was, we want to have more collaboration within these teams. And so, for example, I want to be able to mention someone that's not in my team, but maybe in another team. So I'm in support and there is a billing team. I want to mention someone from there. So it's now possible. We released it just a few weeks or a few days ago, and enabling more collaboration throughout the software is something that we'll really spend a lot of time on. And shared drafts. So shared drafts is my second favorite feature of Front after reminders. So shared drafts is the ability to have someone create a draft for you, or to have yourself being able to edit it. That's a feature that we like so much and that our customers like so much that we've decided to make it more intuitive. And so just, last week, if you refresh your app, you can now see that on every draft, you have a shared draft button readily available so that you can understand exactly how to share your draft. And so we'll keep improving this feature as we see so much value for us at Front and for our customers. So that's about collaboration. Now let's switch to proactivity, because I want to make sure that people are as efficient as possible when they work. So one thing we launched is private tags. So you can see on my screen, one way I use it, for example, is I have a private tag called To Do Today, and I make sure that I file the conversations that need my attention today in the right tag. And you can have sub tags. So for example, To Do Today related to recruiting, related to sales, related to product feedback. So this is something that most email clients have, and so that was actually one of the top 3 requests from our customers, and it's live. And if there is anything that you think we can still improve on this feature, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to make it better. Workforce management. So this is something I've heard over and over the past few years, and we finally started working on it. So we already have product and engineering working on this feature. So the first feature that we're launching is load balancing. So what it means is you'll be able to assign conversations automatically based on the number of conversations already assigned to your teammates. So if you want to make sure that a conversation is assigned to the person that has the lowest number of conversations assigned, that will be possible. And so the goal really is to reduce response time by pushing conversations to teammates with more bandwidth, and to create more fairness on the team by equally distributing work. That's load balancing, and that's for this quarter. shift assignments. That's also something I've heard so much from all of you. So the shift feature is the ability to set designated hours or shifts. So if someone is not on the shift, they're automatically set out of office, and so conversations can't be assigned to them. So it's now easy to say, you know, this group of people is working from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and this group of people is working on a different schedule. So it's really valuable for companies with tight SLAs. So if a teammate is out of office, you can make sure that either a response gets reassigned or a new conversation gets assigned to the teammates that are available. And the last feature of this workforce management set is advanced round-robin rules. So it's simply the fact that you can incorporate shifts and load balancing features into your role engine. So if that's something that's interesting to you, just feel free to send us an email. Whenever we're working on new features, we're looking for beta testers and they can give us feedback. So team@frontapp.com, we'd love to hear from you. More powerful automation. So we've heard that rules are so powerful, but they're not always super intuitive, and it's not always obvious to all our customers what they can do with rules. So in order to improve this rule engine, there are a few things we'll do. We'll redesign it to make it more intuitive. We'll create smart templates. So in one click, you can have a rule and then you can edit it. You'll be able to reorder them more quickly. And we'll even work on being able to duplicate rules so that, you know, if you want to create a rule that's very similar to a complex rule you've created, that will be possible. Native scheduling with Front Calendar. So we're working on integrating calendar and email and other communication channels in a better way. So we know today that there is just a lot of interaction going between email and calendar. So we've launched a plugin, a calendar plugin a few months ago, but there is just so much that we can still improve so that one, you always see from your main app front what's happening on your calendar, but two, you have better interactions between email and calendar. So for example, if there is a thread with 5 people and you want to invite all of them to a meeting in one click, then that becomes possible in a very easy way. It's also possible to share your availability and to send scheduling links through this new native calendar integration that will be live in the coming months. And that's not it. We'll always obsess over making you more productive. And so I just wanted to share with you like 4 other things that for sure will work on this year. One is an offline mode, and we've actually started working on it. We've heard from you that you want to be able to use Front even when you don't have a good internet connection. So that's something that will be for this year. You want to have notification actions on mobile, and for Android, we've released a lot of these improvements, but we'll release more, and for iOS, they're coming. Can messages templates and contact manager redesign. So I'm super excited about making our contact manager better, because one of the things that we can do if the contact manager is redesigned is we'll let you see the history of a single contact cross-channel in a much easier way. So for example, you have an email from someone and you want to see all the history on Twitter, on Facebook, on the phone, on email, on live chat. If we redesign the contact manager in a good way, then that's what you'll be able to achieve. And I know that it's been something you've asked us to improve, and so we'll improve it. Third category out of 5, we're halfway through. Simple setup and powerful controls. So one thing that we actually released last week, and we'll keep improving this feature, is the ability to find your company automatically. So for example, if you're a company, frontapp.com, and you have someone that wants to sign up to Front, they are not yet on the software, today or yesterday, you used to have to ask your admin to invite the person, but the person doesn't always know who the admin is. And so now, if you want to, because it's a setting, you'll be able to say that anyone with a verified email address of your domain can automatically join your organization. And so it will make it easier to have your whole organization in one account. More powerful analytics. So we'll do many things with analytics, and we'll want to make analytics significantly better, and we've started working on this as well. So same thing, if you have requirements, if you want to be beta testers, just email us on team@frontapp.com. So what we'll do is, first of all, we'll add new metrics. So new response times, new handle times, and really any metrics that you want to add. We want to add analytics on the canned answers that you use so that an admin can see which ones are used the most. We want to support time zones in a better way so that you always understand your analytics based on the fact that maybe different teammates are on different time zones. We want to be able to email reports, and we want you to be able to export your analytics in a simpler way. So if every day you want to have in your inbox a snapshot of the analytics from the day before, that will be possible. And most importantly, we want you to be able to create your custom dashboard. So, even if we do these three things above, even if we add new metrics, every single company will have their own way of looking at the data, and everything that's important to them might not be important to another organization. And so at the end of the day, if we want to make our analytics product better, we need to give you the flexibility to create the dashboards that make sense for your business. Flexible plans for growing teams. So we've announced a new pricing. The goal of this new pricing is to make sure that it is more flexible. So you can have different types of users within one account. We've introduced these light users. Light users can have access to individual inboxes, can be looped in on shared inboxes, but by default don't have access to shared inboxes. We have add-ons so that, for example, we're working on this workforce management add-on, and there are a few add-ons already available that you can look from your settings. And we want to have enterprise controls for any plan. So we have this enterprise add-on so that if that's something that's interesting to you, you can just contact us from the setting, and we're happy to tell you everything that's included today in our enterprise add-on and tomorrow. And we'll keep investing in making sure that Front is a great tool for huge organizations that we work with. Break down silos. So I want to make sure that you don't have Front and then 10 other tools that you're just switching back and forth every day. So on the right, you can see that you have a fourth pane. What we want to do with that is we want to make sure that you can switch more easily between apps. So that's something I'm very excited about. We want to make sure that you can discover more easily all the integrations that we have, and once you've enabled some, we want to make sure that you can navigate from one to the other. We want to make sure that when you have notifications inside one of your apps in a more elegant and intuitive way than what we have today. So that's an example with Calendar, and we'll have all of our integrations available with this new switcher. API improvements. So part of the value proposition of Front is to say you can integrate Front with any software that you want. And we've invested in our API from day one in order for other people to build integrations and make them available to you guys, or in order for you to build custom integrations for your own organization. And so today, just to give you an idea, we have this private API that we use to build our own integrations, and we have this public API that you can use. And it's unfair because our private API that we use actually has many more capabilities than the public API. We've decided to change this, and we'll have one single API for us and for you. And so it means that everything you'll be able to do in front will be the same as what we can do. And so the integrations you'll be able to build will be far more complex and far more detailed, and many more features will be available for you. The last category, we want to make sure that when you use Front, you're happy, you're smiling, and that's what we call delightfulness. So one thing that has been asked so much for the past 4 years is, these little things that count. And so the first one I want to talk about is expand all messages in one click. So you click, and right away, all your messages from the third pane are instantly visible instead of you having to click on one. So it will make search easier, for example. Another thing we'll work on is emoji reactions. You have them in products like Slack, for example. People love them, and we want to make sure that you can react with an emoji on a comment that has been made or an internal conversation that's going on. On your first pane, so the list of all your inboxes, a lot of you want to just reorder them, and so we'll allow you to do that as well. So the most important thing, the truth is that's not everything we'll do this year, and these are some of the things that we'll do this year. The two very important things are, one, please share your feedback on anything that we've presented. I would love to hear what you like, what you don't like, what you think we shouldn't do that's in this list, or what you think we should do and that's not in this list. And we still have a lot of room to add new features and new capabilities and improvements, and we're always doing that thanks to the feedback we have from you. So please, please, please share your feedback.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And for those of you that joined along the way, I've been sitting here. I've seen we've had a few people come online since the start of this presentation. I'm Sarah from our marketing team, working with Mathilde on our roadmap for this year. So with that kind of closes out our official roadmap. And just want to add a note on sharing feedback. As a member of the team here, I can truly promise you that we actually read every single message that comes in, every single NPS report. Those comments are incredibly helpful to us in terms of knowing what we should be focusing on, knowing what's top of mind for all of you. So I just want to kind of emphasize that it's something that we take really seriously across the team here. So I'm changing gears here, a little bit of Q&A. If you saw in our invites for this presentation, there was a survey about, what do you want to ask Mathilde? What do you want to ask Front? So tried to pull out a few of the really popular questions from there. We heard a few topics many times, so have kind of pulled out the top ones here. So the first one that we'll kick over to Mathilde would be, will Front be building a task manager, something like an Asana or a Jira, these kind of project management apps anytime soon?
So it's a great question. It's something I've been thinking a lot about, because whenever you receive a new, let's say a new email, then usually that leads to a few tasks being created. So our goal is not to create, to recreate Asana or Jira. I think these are great tools and we integrate with them. But usually what people want is a lightweight Asana or Todoist or Jira, and just the ability to create a task in Front. And so today we have this wonderful object called comments that we could use. And instead of writing a comment, you could write a task. And so you could take it when it's completed, you could assign it to someone in your team. And so what it could lead to is you have one conversation and then 3 tasks, and you can assign this task to other people. So that's definitely something that we want to do. And I just want to make sure that you understand that it would be a lightweight task manager and not a complete redesign of something like Asana or Trello.
Cool. So a lot of questions about integrations. I've actually seen some come in through the Q&A box from the webinar, and please do continue asking questions. But kind of over and over again, when will we get Instagram? When will we get Teams, NetSuite, kind of, many, many long tail of apps. So we'll just talk a little bit about kind of our rationale for prioritizing integrations and what you can expect there.
So at Front, we have a dedicated team working on new integrations and improving existing integrations. So it's definitely something that's top of mind. So for example, I don't know if all of you are aware, but we've been working more and more closely with WhatsApp. And so if WhatsApp integration is something you're interested in, team@frontapp.com, we'll get back to you to explain to you how to set that up. But in general, so I'll talk about Instagram. So Instagram is interesting because there are many ways we can build this integration. We can have private messages as an inbox in front. We can have comments as conversations in front. And I think Instagram is a tool that is being used more and more by businesses. So we're definitely looking at how to build an integration. But because there are so many ways to interact with an Instagram account, I would absolutely love to hear exactly what from Instagram you would like to have in front, from the stories, the comments, the private messages, because that will help us scope this integration. But definitely something we're looking at, and we need more input from you on. And just generally speaking, we have this public roadmap where, frontapp.com/roadmap, where we put a lot of ideas of new integrations, and we prioritize them based on what we hear from our customers. One of the things that we've heard a lot and we're currently looking at is more voice integration. So same thing, working on it, send us the voice applications that you use and you like the most, and that's how we will prioritize these integrations.
Cool. So a lot of you that use Front for customer support or other kind of interface with your client base have asked about a public knowledge-based product. Anything from just making a list of canned responses public to something more built out, like a help center, kind of advanced help center product. So we'll speak to that a little bit too.
So this is a really interesting question. So knowledge-based products is something that is very complementary to Front. And so the choice we've made is integrate a lot of knowledge-based products with Front. And in general at Front, our philosophy on any product is if there is a great product out there and the pricing makes sense for our customers, then we'll always prefer to integrate it in Front than rebuilding something from scratch if we don't need to reinvent it because the tools out there are great. Now, what happens sometimes is the tools out there are either not great for your use case or the way we've built our integration doesn't fit your requirements. So I would say on this question, we always want to go with integrating more and more knowledge-based products. But if there is an issue with that, either because none of these products fit your use case or because the integration is not well done, then same thing, please reply to on the webinar. Please send us an email on team@frontapp.com because we're always happy to prioritize developments of new products when the products out there are not great. A simple example with that is SMS. So a lot of you use SMS within Front because businesses use SMS more and more because it's a great way to have fast response time, high open rates. We didn't, we decided to integrate with Twilio because Twilio is a great product, and so we didn't rebuild an SMS product from scratch. But there are some other things where we rebuilt them from scratch, and knowledge base can be one or the other depending on what you guys think of the existing options out there.
So we got to get the hard questions in there. Not that these first three haven't been, but we do get a lot of questions about search. It's something that is super critical to being able to work quickly and efficiently within Front, is being able to find what you're looking for quickly and efficiently. So had a lot of questions about our plan for search and what the future of search in Front looks like.
Yeah, and I mean, we use Front every day, and so we're also aware of some of the things that we can improve. So a big change has happened with search recently. So we used to have, some of our customers requesting search improvements, and then we had engineers working on them. But recently, we created a dedicated team in Paris that is only working on search. So a lot of the improvements that you've asked for will be able to be prioritized because now it's not like either search or analytics, either search or a new integration. There are always some engineers working on search. So that's the plan we have. And now that you know that, if there is, one specific thing or 10 specific things that you find really bothering, then please tell us, because we'll be able to prioritize them.
Cool. And last question from the survey. And we've actually gotten a few questions about front chat improvements in the webinar box as well. Would just be what our plans are for evolving front chat and some of the more advanced functionalities like targeted messages, things like that.
So great question. We will keep two different strategies for this. On one end, we will keep integrating with tools that do a good job at providing a chat provider. And that's something that we'll always do. We don't require you to switch if you don't want to switch. The second thing we'll do is improving our chat ourselves. And so in the past few quarters, we've improved our chat. The truth is, when we don't have 100 engineers working on chat, which means that we might not be as fast as other companies working on chat, which is the reason why we also integrate with them. But none of the products that we've shipped are perfect, and we know that. And chat is something that hundreds of companies in our customer base are using every single day. And we know how important it is to support your customers in a fast way, but also to get back to leads on your website. And so we will prioritize both improving our chat and integrating with more chat providers. So for example, one thing that we're looking at is integrating with Drift. Drift is a great product, and we just want all in one place in front. But if you're already using a tool that you like so much, then we will not recreate every single product on the planet, and we'll always do a mix of both.
Have a few more minutes here, so want to address some questions that came up through the webinar box, and definitely feel free to keep asking questions there. We're not going to be able to get to everyone, but want to answer a couple that have come up multiple times. So the first one would be about our conversation guests feature. This is, if you joined us at the beginning of the webinar, this is the ability for you to invite an external guest, like a vendor, partner contact, lawyer, consultant, somebody that you're working with outside of your company or team who does not have a front account and you don't want to add to your front plan. The ability to invite them into a conversation. The question there that I wanted to clarify is, does that require a license? Does this require you to add them to your plan as a paid user? The answer is no. They are basically a guest on a single conversation and don't need to log into Front, don't need to be added to your plan in order to be shared. So that's something I wanted to clarify. We do have some more info about that coming either later this week or next week, whenever that feature launches. So keep an eye out for that. But it's definitely something new for us, and wanted to clarify that. We've also gotten some questions about just timeline in general for the roadmap, as well as for a couple of specific features. So just talking about the roadmap in general, everything that we've talked about today is what we are planning to work on this year. It's not an exhaustive list. There's definitely going to be other things that we haven't covered or smaller features. Some of them are coming very soon, like load balancing. We got a couple specific questions about the workforce management add-on. That load balancing and shift management features are both on the roadmap for this quarter. The kind of caveat we have to give is things are always an estimate. We are still a relatively small team, so it's possible that things get delayed, but for the workforce management features specifically, those are planned for release in Q2, hopefully around the end of May. And just in general, the features that you see here, it does range. So if there's anything that you're specifically interested in finding out more about, please do write to us at team@frontapp.com. Just let our kind of support team know that you were on the webinar, have a question about a feature that you saw. We often are looking for beta testers. So if there's a specific feature that you're interested in, we can follow up with you with some more information about when that might be available.
I am reading all the questions. There are so many. Thanks so much for sending them. Two of them that I just read. So one person saying that you have in the app incorrect email account, and it's true. The good news is we're shipping improvements this week so that it should never happen again. So fingers crossed. We know it's been an issue. We really apologize for that. It's insanely hard. It's actually the hardest thing at Front is to get counters right. But that's a fix is coming this week. The second thing that's been asked is, would you introduce sequences for individual emails? So it's actually something that I've been thinking a lot about. So the ability, you compose a new message, whether it's an email or an SMS, and you can add a lot of different recipients. And instead of creating one conversation where all the reply will be threaded, you can make sure it's almost like a mail merge. It will be sent to all the different recipients in single conversation. So that's something that I would personally love to have. And so therefore, we've started the product work and the research in order to make sure that that's something that we can work on.
Cool. Just scanning through the list here.
One question is on the light users and on the pricing. One thing I would say is, the person is asking if they can pay based on the amount of time that people spend in the app. And, we have thousands of customers, different teams, different industries, different size of companies, and there is no way for us to get to a pricing that makes sense for every single customer. And so, but we're always open to having this conversation with you because we learn so much every time you can tell us what price point makes sense for you. If this person can send us an email and explain the use case and explain how they would try to be charged, that would be insanely helpful.
Mm-hmm. And one kind of last question here, we want to make sure to wrap up early. We thought this would be about half an hour and have already gone over. But somebody was asking about Calendar. We covered this a little bit earlier in the webinar, so we will be sending out the recording to everyone. So you can kind of recap that. But just to speak a little bit about the future of Calendar, we only have designs who could only share that redesigned plugin, that kind of narrow panel on the far right of the app where you can look at your email and calendar at the same time. But later this year, we'll be working on an expanded view of Calendar. So what you might have with a Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar, where you can actually click into a full screen view, see a longer term view, like a full month, full weeks at a time, and just the kind of full functionality that you might get in an experience in another app, like the scheduling assistant to be able to find a time that works for everyone on the meeting, things like that. So that's coming later this year. We don't have designs to share for that yet, but just wanted to answer that question since we've gotten a couple follow-ups about Calendar. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're kind of scanning through the list because we've gotten a lot of kind of thanks, and we're so excited about these features. So trying to dig through the questions there. But if there's anything kind of burning on your end that we weren't able to address today, definitely feel free to follow up with us. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can. And again, just an emphasis on if you have any feedback on any of these features, definitely let us know. And we're always looking for beta testers, customer feedback on just what we're thinking. So always feel free to reach out. We really take it seriously and read through all the feedback. And yeah, thanks everyone. So we're going to go ahead.
Thank you so much, everyone.
And close out, and we'll be sending out the recording. So we'll try to get this shut down. I see Mathilde jumping the gun on closing out the screen early. So thanks everyone.
Thank you so much.